Hey everybody, welcome back to Living Traditions Homestead. Well, we're out in the sprout house again today, but only for a few minutes. We wanted to talk to you guys about a couple things that have been on our minds lately, but we also wanted to give you just a quick update on how the seedlings are doing after the last video.
In our last video together, we planted our very first seeds, the tomato seeds and the pepper seeds that we will be transplanting into our greenhouse way before we are able to plant in the ground. To get those greenhouse plants going, we wanted to give you an update on those and show you that quite a few of them are actually germinating already. But since that video, we have also planted our first round of brassicas and lettuce and a first round of herbs. So we've been busy in the sprout house since we last saw you guys.
So let's take a real quick walk around the sprout house, and then we're going to sit down for a minute and talk to you about another thing that's been on our mind. Alright, I turned all the grow lights off so that you guys can actually see what's going on in here, because those purple grow lights can be pretty blinding at times. But here is the tray of tomatoes, and here's the tray of peppers that we started together on the last video. You guys, there are most of the tomatoes coming up already. Take a look at this. You guys know how much I love tomatoes. And that is exciting to see. I know it may not look like much right now, but when I see that, I see just a 5-gallon bucket full of cherry tomatoes. That's what I see. And me in the house being a happy guy. So, those are coming up well. Tomorrow we will leave the dome off of those because enough of them are up now that we don't need the dome on there anymore. And then as far as the peppers go, peppers always take longer to sprout than the tomatoes. So there's not many up yet, but there are just a couple jalapenos just breaking through the surface. So that is very good news as well. So those are the trays we planted together on the last video, but you can see that since that time we've been pretty busy in the sprout house with other things as well. You can see here Sarah's got some lavender, some yarrow, some bee balm planted here, basil, dill, echinacea, and then we've even got some lettuce starts going. Now most of this stuff is going to be for the farmer's market already. But this stuff takes longer to grow, so we need to start it early. Plus, we'll be taking these plants to the farmer's market starting in April. So we've got lettuce, quite a bit of lettuce up here already, in fact. You can see it coming up there. We'll take the lid off that tomorrow as well. And then we've got some broccoli and cauliflower. Those are coming up already. Just a few in each pot, so we need to leave those covered yet. And then over here, we've got, let's see, oregano, parsley, thyme. They're not up yet, but they should be any day. We've got dianthus coming up there. And this last tray is a lot of different things. Sarah's going to go, she's going to do a lot more herbs for the farmer's market this year than we did in the past few years. We're actually kind of ahead of schedule this year, which is great. So we've got patchouli, which is something that I've wanted to try for a long time. Real quick story. When we lived in Arizona, I had a patchouli plant, and it was doing so well. And they're pretty hard to grow. So I had this patchouli plant, and it was doing so well. And every day before we moved, I said to Sarah, we need to dig that up before we leave. We need to dig that up before we leave. And what you know, we left, and we were about halfway to Missouri before I realized we'd never dug it up. And I left it behind in Arizona. So for the last 7 years, I've wanted to do patchouli again, and so we've got quite a bit of patchouli coming up here. We're also doing stevia, St. John's wort, catnip, and chamomile in that tray. So lots of different things. And that is just the tip of the iceberg as far as plants are going to go for the farmer's market this year. You guys, we are excited to have a really packed trailer full of vegetables and herbs and everything else for the farmer's market this year.
So that's how the seeds and the seedlings are doing. We just wanted to give you a quick update because we were so excited to share that with you in our last video. But that isn't really the topic of today's video, so we want to move into today's video.
So we wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about expectations. Expectations that we put on ourselves as homesteaders and expectations that I would say collectively homesteaders put on each other, and that even those of you who aren't homesteaders but watch homesteading videos on YouTube put on the people that you watch.
And I think by expectations, what we're really saying is unreasonable expectations.
Right.
Expectations for ourselves and other people that we can't live up to, or maybe we shouldn't live up to, and the same for what we're kind of projecting onto other homesteaders.
Right. And today specifically we're talking about the expectation of growing 100% of, or very close to 100% of your own food. Recently, I've been doing some reading about like the pioneer days because it's an interesting topic to me, and I always feel like, as homesteaders, we're kind of like modern day pioneers. I mean, we're out here really trying our hardest to, live a self-sufficient life. And I feel like in general, we always go into it with the mindset of we're going to try to do 100% of everything ourselves. And what I'm realizing, first of all, is that we can't do that.
Right.
We cannot do 100% of everything ourselves. And the other thing that I'm realizing through the reading that I'm doing is that neither did the people in the pioneer days.
If you think back to, Little House on the Prairie, or those other shows that we used to watch as kids, or old-time movies, remember they all had general stores, and those general stores were used to buy the things that people could not produce on their own. If they were living on farms or out in rural communities, they would go there and they would order flour, wheat, sugar, different oils,
Right.
A lot of the things that they just could not produce on their own farm, their own homesteads, they would order every month or every few months through that general store.
Right. And I feel like over the last several years, there's been really a push in the homesteading community, and we've put this on ourselves. We're as guilty as anybody when it comes to this, to think that we need to keep doing more and more and more and more. And if we aren't doing, 100% of everything that we need, that we're somehow a failure.
And not only can we have that expectation for ourselves, to produce all of our own food just for ourselves, then we start thinking, well, if we can produce all of our own food for ourselves, then we probably can or should do the same thing for our girls and their families, and even when they're grown up and have their own families. And if we can do that for our girls, then maybe we should or could be able to for Kevin's parents. And if we could do Kevin's parents too, maybe we could be doing the same thing for our church. And it just kind of gets bigger and bigger and more of an overwhelming expectation and
Right.
pressure on ourselves. Like, where does it stop?
So basically, what it comes down to, you guys, and what we're here to say today, especially to those of you who are starting out in homesteading, and those of you who are in a similar position that we are, where maybe you've been doing it, we've been doing this for well over a decade now, is that it's okay to not be able to do it all. It's okay to not be able to grow 100% of everything that you eat, because the truth is, none of us can. None of us as homesteaders can grow all of our own meat, all of our own vegetables, all of our own grains, our own sugar, our own just everything that we consume.
Right.
And just because you don't doesn't mean you're a failure as a homesteader.
And today what we're doing is we're giving you all permission to identify the things that you're just not going to do.
Right.
The things that you absolutely feel like you're convicted to grow and raise for your family. For us, we are convicted to grow and raise all of our own meat,
Right.
for sure.
We've gone 10 years now, or a little over 10 years, without buying meat in a grocery store. That, for us, that was a line we drew in the sand where we said, we are done. We are not partaking in the commercial food system anymore, meat system anymore, and we are going to raise all of our meat ourselves.
And just because we've decided to grow and raise all of our own meat, that doesn't mean that we're not going to have a garden. But what it does mean is that we're going to give ourselves permission to not have such a gigantic garden that produces every other vegetable, fruit, everything that we are going to eat for the entire year. We are going to give ourselves some grace, and we're going to give ourselves permission to buy some of those things, either in bulk from a couple different places that you can buy, trade with people in the community,
right.
But we're just going to give ourselves a break and not have those unrealistic expectations for ourselves.
Right. It also means that even though we encourage and try to live by the whole eating seasonally philosophy, which we, for the most part, try to do. I mean, we can, so we can eat things out of season and things like that. But for the most part, we try to eat within season. But it also means that there's going to be times when maybe I want a tomato in January, and here in Missouri, because we don't heat our greenhouse, I can't have a tomato in January unless I go buy one. It's okay to go buy one from time to time. They're terrible. I don't know why I would ever do it. I'm just using that as an example. But what I'm saying is, like, things like right now, our dairy cow has been dry for almost a year. We dried her up because we were super busy moving and everything. We thought we could get her bred again so that she'd have a baby shortly after we moved into the new house. We've been going on 9 months or more of trying to get her bred, and she still isn't bred. Well, she might be, but we're not sure yet. The truth is, though, so for that entire time, we haven't produced any dairy here on the homestead. You guys, that doesn't mean we haven't eaten any dairy. That means that we've had to give ourselves permission to go out and spend some money on some cheese, on some cream, on some milk when we need it. And that's just the way that it needs to be from time to time. Because the only other option, honestly, at this point would be to go buy a third dairy cow, bring on a third animal, just so we could start getting milk and somehow consider ourselves a success because now we're getting our own milk again.
So instead of putting all that pressure on ourselves, we want to give ourselves some grace. Yes, but we also want to learn from the pioneers. That's the kind of lifestyle, modern pioneering. That's kind of what we want to do. We want to learn from those pioneers and identify those things that we can't or won't be growing for ourselves, but also learn from them by thinking ahead and buying in bulk.
So today, along with just giving you guys kind of that encouragement that it's okay not to do everything for yourselves, we also want to share with you some of the places that we buy things that we can't or choose not to grow for ourselves. Some of them will be very obvious. One of them is not as obvious, and a lot of you may not be familiar with, but we're going to share that with you today. But we're going to head in the house first to talk to you guys in there. All right, we're back in the house, and it's time to kind of talk to you guys a little bit about where we get some of the things that we get that we don't grow ourselves, and so that maybe you feel like you don't have to feel guilty about it either.
We are normal people who buy things from the regular grocery store, you guys. And there are just some things that we get from our local grocery store in town.
Right. In our little town, we really have two places to buy things. We have Walmart, and we have a local grocery store called Town and Country. And we do go to both of those places from time to time when we need something small or we need something quick. And you guys, we don't feel guilty about it at all. In fact, a lot of times we see some of you when we go to the grocery store.
The other place that we shop is Costco. Costco, Sam's Club, they're a great way to buy things on a bigger scale, save some money. And just yesterday, Kevin and I went to Costco and stocked up on some things we needed. We needed toilet paper.
Right.
We don't
grow that.
We don't produce our own toilet paper. I realized I was out of onions, and I actually want to freeze dry some onions.
Right.
And, we don't grow a lot of our own onions, and the onions we do grow, they don't store very well here in Missouri. So we do often have to buy onions at the grocery store. So
and just the other day we were talking about how many onions we should grow again this year, and we're not even sure we're going to do onions this year. We may do just a few so we can have some fresh onions in the summertime. But you guys, we've really come to the conclusion that we just aren't that good at growing onions. They're not that expensive in the store, and it's not really worth taking up the space in our greenhouse or in the garden to grow something that doesn't really do well here.
Right, and that's just for us. There are many people out there that I know that grow amazing onions. They do a great job. They live in an area where they can dry them out and they'll store properly over the winter. That's just not the way it is for us.
Right.
And so right now, for this season in our lives, we're going to buy onions and we're not going to feel bad about it.
Right. Now, the last place that we get things, and you've probably heard us mention this place, but I think there's a lot of confusion about how to order from them, what it means, and all of that. So we're going to go over more of that today, but that is Azure Standard. Now, a few weeks ago was our last Azure Standard pickup. So Azure basically means that with Azure Standard, you basically order like once a month and then they deliver it to your community. And our last pickup, our last time to order was about 3 weeks ago. We had kind of thought about doing this video for a while, so we actually recorded, 3 weeks ago, we recorded the next part of this video, and that was us bringing home our Azure Standard order, and Sarah's going to explain to you how that all works.
Well, today was the Azure Standard pickup day where the order that I placed with Azure Standard was delivered. And I know that here and there in my kitchen videos, I talk about buying some food products from Azure Standard. And today I wanted to explain to you a little bit more about that company and how it works and why I love it so much. So first of all, Azure Standard is an online buying group. It's kind of like a co-op. And a co-op, what I understand of a co-op, is really a group of people that get together to buy things on a larger scale that you get better prices on, and then everybody comes together on a central location when that food or you know, whatever you ordered comes in. And then you pay for it and take it home. Azure Standard is very similar to that, but it's an online buying group. Now, Azure Standard is really committed to providing products, food, that kind of thing, that have very great ingredients. Most of their products, they offer organic. They also offer fresh, like produce, frozen things, grains you can buy in bulk. Lots of the foods that you are hoping to buy, they offer. Another thing that I take advantage of through Azure Standard is a lot of their cleaning products. Now, I used to make most, if not all, of our cleaning products, our body products, and I just have been unable to do that for the last many years, just because we have so many things going on the homestead and my attention has been elsewhere. But the products for Azure Standard are very natural and they are really committed to providing cleaning products, body products that not only are good for the environment, but they are not poisonous to you. So you'll see that I buy some things of that nature from them as well. Now, Azure Standard works a little bit differently than you would probably imagine. Now, if you consider the way other big buying companies work, for instance, Amazon, you go to their website, you order your product, and in 2 or 3 days, it's delivered to your doorstep. You don't have to do anything. It just comes through regular mail. Now, Azure Standard, even though it's an online website buying group, it works a little bit differently. They take an order for your area or your community and they deliver it to a meeting point within the community once a month. When the semi arrives, everybody who has ordered from that pickup location arrives at the delivery time. We help unload that semi. All the orders are placed out by name. So all of my products are put in my little area where the Living Traditions order is. And then when the semi is completely empty, we take our products, we go home, we enjoy them, and then we order for the next month. It really is a wonderful opportunity to get food and cleaning products at a really good price and great ingredients. And by delivering it in the way that they do, they can cut costs with individual delivery. They can deliver things that are completely frozen because their trailer is, it's mostly refrigerated so that even things that don't need to be refrigerated, everything can go in that compartment. but they also do have a freezer compartment. So it makes it very convenient to even buy things that are from, you know, the frozen food section. So let's go ahead and open these boxes. So with this order, I have 4 total boxes full of products. This one was in the frozen section, and these 3 were in the other section, which is chilled. Now, I do want to tell you that these boxes are all like repack boxes, so not everything that, you know, like this box says it has French fries in it. We don't have French fries. It's just the French fry box that they used. So we're gonna go ahead and open this one here. This is the one that was in the freezer section. It's kind of like Christmas. Okay, you will see that I bought 5 pounds of broccoli florets. And I also bought frozen cauliflower. I bought 6 bags of these. And that is it from the freezer section. We are eating a lot of cauliflower and broccoli these days because we're eating low carb, and these have lots of fiber and are low carb. Next up, I will open this box. You can see that they have markered on there that it needs to be this side up. And a lot of times they do that with things that are liquid. It is one of the cleaning products that I ordered. This is 1 gallon of toilet bowl cleaner. This is one of the products that is an Azure brand, and they, like I said, really pride themselves on using great ingredients that are good for the environment and good for you. Let's move on to this box. This also says basically this side up. Okay, so first coming out of the box is some Parmesan cheese, shredded Parmesan. The one thing I like so much about the Parmesan from Azure, it is nicely aged. It has a really great flavor to it. I also bought some oxygen powdered bleach powder. This is like OxiClean, so that's one of the cleaning products I bought. I bought another bathroom cleaner, which I really like. I bought 1 gallon of olive oil. You can see that it is kind of solid right now. That's because it's been refrigerated, and as it comes to room temperature, it will liquefy again. I bought 5 pounds of smoked cheddar cheese, 5 pounds of organic sharp cheddar cheese. This last box, we have a big block of raw pepper jack cheese. I think maybe you're seeing the theme here of this order. This is mozzarella cheese, a mild cheddar cheese, and another mild cheddar cheese. I just want to tell you that I'm going to be cutting these into 1 pound blocks and then vacuum sealing them and putting these in the refrigerator. We do not have a cow that's in milk right now, and we have not mastered the art of making hard cheeses. It's something I would love to do in the future once we have a cow that's back in milk and we have a little bit more time. But we are eating a lot of cheese, eating high protein, plus we're from Wisconsin and we love cheese. So this was the month that I stocked up on cheese, but we do really love it. The last thing on the order is just 1 package of these rice ramen noodles. These are the black noodles. One of the vices that I give into for our youngest daughter, Samantha, is ramen noodles. She loves ramen noodles. Instead of buying the packs from the grocery store that really have terrible, terrible ingredients, I buy these rice ramen noodles for her. The ingredients are much better. They don't come with the seasoning packet, but we take care of seasoning them here on our own. But I did buy one of these for her as kind of a surprise. So you guys, this is what I bought this month. My monthly order will change depending on the needs of our family and depending on like the future needs. I like to buy a few months at a time if I can, depending on what we're running out of. There are a couple things other things that I really rely on Azure Standard for that I want to talk to you about that I think you will enjoy. The last thing I'm going to share with you about Azure Standard is that I buy 5 gallons of liquid laundry detergent from Azure. I also buy 5-gallon buckets of dish soap. I also buy other kind of dry foods in bulk. You can see I've got this bucket here of rice. They come in bags like this, 25 pounds. You can get them in 50-pound bags. And then when I get them like this from Azure, I store them in buckets like this with gamma lids. And these gamma lids prevent any bugs from getting in, and you can get the gamma lids from Azure too. So hopefully this takes the mystery out of ordering from Azure Standard. If you're wondering, I hope I answered some of your questions. Now you can order from them online. The link to their website is in the description of this video, and I hope that you take a look at them, and I hope you enjoy them as much as I do.
Well, you guys, we hope that this video was encouraging to you, especially, like I said earlier, to those of you who may either just be starting out in homesteading, or those of you who have been in it a while but feel like you're kind of constantly chasing some goal that just seems unattainable. It's okay to know that there isn't some final end game that makes you this perfect homesteader. You know, a lot of us included, have gotten into this lifestyle because it's a healthier way to live. And by stressing ourselves out, by always chasing this unattainable goal, you're really having an opposite effect. It's really not healthy to be constantly going, constantly pushing yourself to the next level. It's okay sometimes to take some time and just enjoy life. You know, the goal should always be, as homesteaders, to eliminate the store as much as possible. But at the end of the day, there are things that you're going to have to get at the store, and we just want you to know that that's okay. Try your hardest to eliminate the store as much as you can, but feel good in your decision for the things that you do have to buy.
You guys, we're so happy that you spent some time with us today as we discussed this topic that, you know, has been wearing on us a little bit and may be wearing on some of you. We're happy that we had an opportunity to sit down and talk about it. You guys, if you're enjoying our videos, make sure that you hit the subscribe button below, and remember that the best way you can help us here on The Homestead is just to share our videos on your social media. Until next time, thank you so much for stopping by our homestead. Take care, and God bless.
God bless.